All right, sorry about that. Just my battery decided that I was talking too long. So instead of starting over and losing that whole conversation, I figure I would just try to pick up where I left off. So this is gonna be part two to what is awakening and what is ascension. So I'm gonna try and pick up where the recorder turned off before. And then I'm going to just kind of try to bring it back to the point so that these other things can go on the videos that they belong on. So sorry about going off topic, but again, if you understand these teachings, they just all run into each other, so it can be difficult at times. So when it cut off, I was talking about like the difference between community consciousness, the collective consciousness, and your own personal consciousness. So right now, while you're going through this awakening here, your personal consciousness and growth is what is most important. Once you really start to get a handle on that and a lock on that is when you can start to focus more on trying to change, if you can, the collective consciousness as well. And we all do that in our own little ways that we'll find. And part of that is just being us, just being who you are. If you always have been contemplating and wondering, what is your purpose here in life? If you ever connected or had thoughts of being an old soul and connected with that, or is also called a light worker in different communities and etc., these things are all talking about the same thing. And if you've ever kind of identified with that but really didn't know what it was or what it meant, but you've had those type of thoughts, if you are here at this moment where you're ready for your awakening, I'm sure you've had these type of thoughts throughout your life. And part of the answer is that you are a light worker, you are an old soul, your awareness and your consciousness is far enough along to where you help to carry the light. So just you being who you are and doing what you do from your day to day and your interactions with people and how you affect them, even when you don't know you're affecting them, they're watching you and they pay attention to you and they see things. And even if they don't agree with them or attach to them right away, there's a point in their life where they understand or see that you're doing well, or you are happy, or you're feeling good, or and they'll wonder, like, how come things don't come to me like they come to that person, or etc., right? And so they'll start to, we imitate each other a lot, whether it's for the good or the bad. So I don't want to get too far off topic. I was just trying to make a point here that there is a difference between collective consciousness and your own personal consciousness. And collective consciousness has to do more with the large things that are affected by a very large community of people, obviously, and your own personal reality, life experience, thoughts, feeling, emotion, everything. This is all your personal consciousness, which is ascension process now, and that's what's important first. You have to take care of home before you can take care of elsewhere. And once you have home straight, then you can be more helpful elsewhere than you ever imagined. And so you want to focus on the things that are just within your power alone, which is most things. So we'll get back to the point here. It was just the differences between awakening process and ascension process. And so the awakening is literally the opening your eyes, the giving you the knowledge of how things actually work, the understanding and the capability to start to mold and create and form your life using the power that is within you. And then the ascension process is then the journey now that you've taken, that you're about to take. Like you can kind of liken this to, you've been going through your life and you kind of graduated high school or maybe even middle school, all depends, but you've had this graduation whichever way of how it came about to you, and to where now you're ready for the next level, the next step. Now you're ready for the new thoughts. You've proven enough to where you're capable to be accepted into the new school, and so now this ascension process, you can't think, well, now I've learned all these things and I understand them. Nah, you're not done, because now you have to show and prove that you really do understand them, and that uh, you're going to use, what are you going to do with your knowledge now? That's like the biggest thing. Knowledge is power, but only if you do something with it. If you do nothing with it, then you essentially didn't do anything, and you might fall back asleep, because and a lot of people do that. Some people even choose to do that because they find that they're comfortable in the reality that they've been living in, or it's easier, and they don't have the will or the strength in them to go through this now. So that is then now the ascension process is actually chasing it down, is actually doing the work now. Now you've envisioned this, and you're understanding it, so you're feeling this and you're believing this, and so now is going to come your actions, and your actions are going to create your reality, right? This is the trichotomy, and we'll talk about that in a whole nother video. So your awakening is posing these new thoughts to you, these new answers, these new way of looking at everything, and it's causing you to feel in different ways, and think and respond, in different ways, and those are now going to turn to your actions, and it's your decision, it's your choice. What are you going to do with it, and if you want to continue with this, which you'll be compelled to do if it's been proving itself to you and if you're really following it, now you're going to do your ascension process, where you're going to continue to learn. The learning never stops. You're going to now learn a lot of these different teachings, and you're going to start to take these things that you've put together for yourself and put them into practice and into use. You're going to start slowly but surely, because it is a process, getting more and more away from the things in life that you shouldn't do and that you shouldn't take in, you shouldn't ingest, you shouldn't think about in your mind. You're going to start working on that, and just like the trichotomy works, it's going to start to feed itself. Sorry about that. Life calls. So where was I? It feeds itself, and so as you start to do it, as you start to really know and understand these new things, then you start to feel them, and they start to change your views and your emotions and how you really view and look at life, and then that turns into now your actions. So now you want to really do the actions, do the work of going through this. You don't get to go to college and, well, you're here now, so you just get it all. Well, no, you got to go through the work, and you got to chase it down. You got to put your effort into it, and make it be something. So then the act of going through the ascension process is taking all these new things and pieces that you're learned, and using them and mastering them. Really, this is called like becoming the master. You are mastering all these different aspects of life, of energy, of universe, of everything, of the way it works. And once you truly become the master, then the power, the implications, the things that you can do with that are really limitless. They're really endless. This is where a lot of all these movies and books and stories and stuff come from, and that'll be a whole nother video. But people very, very obviously, and that comes to you too, have gone through some of the most successful people who have written and directed these movies and written these books and stories and everything over the course of history time. It's amazing. It's really a retelling of the same knowledge, and people are using this recycle method of giving this knowledge to people in their own creative way to create their success. So that's a whole nother thing that'll come to you too. But it's amazing once you start to realize how many really successful people have gone through this and know about this, you know. And this is what's the deal with a lot of the symbols you see that are common to all these different places that have these different meanings than what you think that they are. And people will tell you that they're all bad things and they're devil worship and all this other stuff. You will learn. We will find out together if you want to if you want to watch with me. I'll talk to you about that too. That's the illusion, that's the nonsense. And what that really is that's people hiding the truth in plain sight. They are showing you so that when you have your awakening, those are things for you to see, so that you know and understand that you're not crazy. You know, what if there was never somebody here like me for you to listen to tell you that you're not crazy, right? There's something has to prove it to you. So you have to be able to see that other people and successful people have been through this. Things keep interrupting and trying to take me off of what I'm doing here now. That, you know, that must mean it's time to wrap this video up. I don't want to drain on. So just know there's differences between ascension and ascension process. What you do with it. There's just so much more information that I think we'll go on to the next video. I want to thank everybody who did give this a listen for doing that. We can all learn many things from each other, and you know, even when you think you already know what a video is about, or if you think that it doesn't have anything to offer you because it sounds ridiculous or something, I encourage you to give it a listen and see what you can get out of it, because you'll find this is one of the most important things that sleeping people don't do. You know, they don't pay attention to the things that they automatically have decided that they don't believe, that they don't understand, that is crazy, that is conspiracy or whatever, you know. So, you know, you like to keep an open mind while going through this, and do the best you can to do your work. You know, this is for you. And if, you know, I find it helps to really do it alone, because it's much easier to block out anxieties or fears and etc. of, like, you know, someone being around who isn't ready for any of this knowledge and just thinks it's nonsense, and then, you know, that limits you on what you're willing to say and do. And you see, that's another thing that we need to hurdle. That's another thing to get over. One of the biggest things about you know, the ascension process is mastering mental transmutation. And if you've never heard of what that is, that is, I believe, one of the biggest keys to us really being happy and feeling great all the time, whenever you want to, and therefore being your best self at all times. And if that's the case, that's the energy you're going to put out. You're going to put this positive energy out, and it's going to attract it back to you. The universe is going to send it right back to you, because that's what your receiver is putting out. You know, everything has been taught to us backwards and upside down while we're sleeping. And one of those things is that they tell you how opposites attract, right? And in that consciousness, in that reality, right, it proves itself to you. At that time, opposites do attract, and you'll see this and this that shouldn't be together, whether that's people or, you know, whatever it is. They come together, right? And then what are they? They become a disaster. You know, it's an eruption of maybe that positive and negative energy coming together. Like, I don't know. But then when you really start to get it, right, and you find the truth in a higher consciousness, a higher reality, and a better one, the one that we're all striving for, it's the opposite. Like attracts like, positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. So if you are putting out positive thoughts, feelings, emotions, and energy, you are going to attract back to you that like, that same positive things. And in the reverse effect, and this is how we get screwed up on the lower consciousness plane and running off of things being taught to us backwards, if you do the opposite and you're always thinking and putting out with your receiver this negative thought, this negative feelings, this negative energies, it follows the track, it feeds itself, it comes right back to you, and it gives you more of that same negative. And when it does that, it just solidifies, it proves itself to the main first thought that of that negativity, you know. So you can see how that works if things are starting to open it up to you. And you just, that's such the opposite of what you want. So you just always want to try and stay positive as much as you can. And when you can feel something negative come on is when you definitely want to start to practice and master your mental transmutation, which just to touch on, but we'll get into in another video real quick. Since I brought it up, it's just that when you see something or you feel something or you're thinking something and it is the opposite of your teachings, the opposite of your new learning, the opposite of your understanding, or the opposite of what you want or desire, right? You want to immediately realize it, understand it, and know that this is not what you want. It's not what you think, it's not what you feel, it's not what you believe. It has no bearings and no hold on you. And so you immediately reverse that thought, right? Even if you don't feel it yet, right? It hasn't proved itself to you because it's a new thought, right? It doesn't matter. You're now understanding the process. So you want to break in and change the thought. You want to start thinking the opposite, or what would bring you the effect that is more of what you want. You want to start feeling the opposite. If you're feeling negative and angry and upset, you want to try and quell that, you know, take that down. Think to yourself about things, what's going on, what you're going through, right? And turn that around and know that, no, I am already happy. I am already everything that I need, everything that I can be. I already am these things. It already is okay, right? And that is going to start to feed itself. And you just have to give it time and continue repetition of it. It's practice, just like anything else. So I hope you guys got something out of this video here. Anything that I've touched on that is for a later video, believe me, if you poke your head back in and check me out again, you'll see more videos explaining things deeper, because this is what I want to do. I want to keep the videos shorter so it's easier for people to catch on and watch when they have some time. So until next time, thanks for coming, and man, let's just keep this positive energy up and going, and pass it on to each other as best as we can.